What if the delay that almost ruined your life was actually destiny in disguise? Nantok was just a struggling graduate in Abuja, racing against time to secure the job he had waited 5 long years for. But one unexpected stop to help a stranded stranger with a flat tire changed everything. He didn't know she was a secret billionaire heiress. She didn't know he was the kind of man money couldn't buy. One simple act of kindness, one phone call, and a love story neither of them saw coming. Get ready for romance, laughter, modern Nigerian luxury, and a twist of destiny that will warm your heart. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more inspiring African love stories, filled with hope, success, and unexpected miracles. The alarm rang at exactly 5 a.m., but Nantok had already been awake. Sleep had refused to stay with him that night. Today was not an ordinary day. Today was the day his 5-year volunteer status at the logistics company in Abuja was finally supposed to end. An appointment letter, a real salary, a future. He sat up slowly on his thin mattress in his small Kubwa apartment. The room was simple, a neatly folded Ankara bedsheet, a plastic wardrobe by the corner, a standing fan that groaned louder than it blew air, and motivational sticky notes on the wall. One read, "Delay is not denial." He stared at it. "God, today should not be another delay-o," he muttered. He ironed his only good white shirt carefully, adjusting the collar twice. The navy blue trousers had been worn so often the edges were beginning to fade, but he polished his shoes until they reflected hope. As he stepped outside, the Abuja morning air felt heavy. Commercial buses honked impatiently. Street hawkers shouted prices. The city was already alive. His phone rang. "Boss." He swallowed before answering. "Good morning, sir." "Morning? Nantok, where are you?" "On my way, sir." "You better be close. HR is waiting. If you miss this, don't blame anybody." The line went dead. His heart began to race. 5 years. 5 years of coming early, leaving late, running errands beyond his job description. Enduring "you're just a volunteer" comments. He had watched people who came after him get absorbed before him. But today was different. Today his perseverance was supposed to pay off. He checked the time. 8:12 a.m. He quickened his pace, cutting through a quieter road to save time. It was a slightly deserted stretch. Unfinished buildings, quiet sidewalks, the kind of place where only the wind seemed employed. Then he heard it. A frustrated voice. "Why today of all days?" He slowed. A black Range Rover stood awkwardly by the roadside. One tire was completely flat. Beside it stood a young woman in corporate attire, white blouse, fitted black trousers, heels now sinking slightly into the dusty ground. She was struggling with the jack. Nantok hesitated. His phone buzzed again. "Boss, where are you?" He looked at the woman again. She tried lifting the jack, failed, and sighed dramatically. "Olga Tire, are you planning to embarrass me publicly?" Despite his tension, a small smile escaped his lips. He looked toward the road ahead. Appointment letter, salary, stability. Then he looked back at her, stranded, alone, frustrated. He closed his eyes briefly. "God, this better not cost me." He adjusted his tie and walked toward her. "Good morning. Looks like the tire has declared independence." She turned sharply, startled, then relieved. "Oh, thank God. Yes, it has, and I think it has won." He chuckled lightly. "Can I help?" She looked him over. Neatly dressed, obviously heading somewhere important. He sighed. "I am." "And you still stopped?" He shrugged. "My conscience doesn't check the time." For the first time that morning, she smiled fully. And for the first time that morning, Nantok forgot about the clock. He removed his jacket and rolled up his sleeves. Behind him, his phone buzzed again. He ignored it. Because sometimes, destiny does not shout. It whispers. On a deserted road. Nantok knelt beside the tire, adjusting the jack with the focus of a surgeon about to perform a delicate operation. "First," he said calmly, "you don't panic. Tires can smell fear." The lady folded her arms, trying not to laugh. "Is that so?" "Yes, especially expensive ones like this. They're dramatic." She shook her head, amused. My name is Sarah, by the way. Nantok, he replied, tightening the jack properly. And I promise you, Zara, this tire will respect itself in a few minutes. She stepped aside, watching him work. His white shirt was already gathering dust. His phone buzzed again in his pocket. He didn't check. Your phone has been vibrating non-stop, she observed. My boss, he replied casually. And you're still here? He paused briefly, then continued loosening the nuts. If I leave you here, I won't hear the end of it for my conscience. She studied him quietly. You're different. He laughed lightly. No, I'm just unemployed with principles. That made her laugh properly. Unemployed? Volunteer, which is a polite word for almost staff. Within minutes, the flat tire was removed. He replaced it with the spare and tightened the bolts firmly. There, he said, standing up and dusting his hands. Good as new. Zara clapped softly. I'm impressed. Should I add mechanic to your CV? He smiled. Only if it pays more. She looked at him carefully now, not just at his dusty shirt or worn shoes, but at the sincerity in his eyes. Thank you, Nantok. Truly. It's nothing. It's not nothing, she corrected gently. Most people would drive past. He hesitated. Maybe. But I know what it feels like to be stuck. Something flickered in her eyes. She reached into her bag and brought out a sleek card, then paused. Actually, give me your number. He blinked. My number? Yes, he teased lightly. For more tire emergencies? She smirked. Maybe, or lunch, or something better. He scribbled his number into her phone. As he stepped back, she asked, Where do you work? He mentioned the company name. Her expression shifted slightly, almost too quickly to notice. Interesting, she said softly. Before he could ask what she meant, she smiled again. Go save your job, Mr. Conscience. He glanced at his phone. 8:47 a.m. His heart dropped. Ah. He hurriedly picked up his jacket. Drive safely. You too, she replied. And Nantok? He turned. Yes? Kindness has a way of returning. He smiled politely, not realizing how literal those words would soon become. By the time Nantok reached the company building in UCHE, his shirt was wrinkled and his breathing uneven. His boss stood at the entrance, like a security checkpoint. Mr. Nantok, so you finally decided to arrive? Sir, no excuses. Sir, I had to help. Help? Are you Father Christmas? Some staff members glanced over, whispering. Sir, please, today is important. His boss folded his arms. It was important. HR waited. Nantok felt his chest tighten. Reassigned? To someone punctual. The words stung more than the Harmattan wind. Sir, 5 years. And 5 years you're still late. He opened his mouth, but no words came out. Just like that, the opportunity vanished. He stood there for a few seconds, watching someone else walk out of HR smiling, holding what should have been his appointment letter. He forced a smile. Congratulations. The man nodded awkwardly. Nantok turned and walked away. A quiet room. A loud pain. That evening, he returned to his small apartment in Kubwa. The room felt even smaller. He sat on the mattress, staring at the wall. No salary, no stipend, no appointment letter. He laughed dryly. All because I became roadside mechanic. His stomach growled. There was no food left. He lay back and closed his eyes. Maybe kindness didn't always return. Maybe sometimes it just collected interest elsewhere. His phone rang. Unknown number. He ignored it. It rang again. He sighed and answered weakly. Hello? Nantok? His eyes opened immediately. Sarah. Yes. Are you okay? He swallowed. Define okay. There was silence on the other end. I heard something happened at your office. He sat up slowly. How? She didn't answer directly. Can we meet tomorrow? I'd like to see you. He hesitated. I don't think I'm in the mood for lunch. It's not lunch. Her voice was calm, assured. It's something better. He looked around his tiny room. Better? Right now, even bread would qualify as better. He sighed softly. Okay. Little did he know, the 10 minutes he lost that morning had not cost him everything. The next morning, Nantok stood in front of a gate so tall it looked like it needed its own passport. He checked the address on his phone again. Maitama. He looked down at his shoes. Are you sure we belong here? He muttered to them. The gate slowly slid open before he could even press the intercom. A uniformed security officer stepped forward politely. Good morning, sir. You're expected. Sir? Nantok looked behind him to see if another sir was standing there. There wasn't. He swallowed and walked in. The driveway curved elegantly around a fountain sculpted like rising silver petals. The lawn was perfectly trimmed. Palm trees lined the path like disciplined soldiers. And then he saw the house fully. It wasn't just a house. It was architecture with confidence. Floor-to-ceiling glass panels reflected the Abuja sun beautifully. Marble pillars framed the entrance. The balcony railings shimmered with gold accents. It was the kind of mansion you only saw in glossy magazines or drove past while whispering, "One day." Inside was even more breathtaking. The living room opened into a vast space of cream Italian leather sofas arranged around a low glass table. A cascading crystal chandelier hung from a double-height ceiling. Polished marble floors gleamed under soft, warm lighting. Modern Nigerian interior design met cultural pride. Bold, contemporary African artwork decorated the walls. Bronze sculptures stood elegantly by the corners. A large portrait of a regal-looking older man commanded attention above the fireplace. Nantok exhaled slowly. If this is lunch, I'm not leaving. Planning to move in already? He turned. Zara stood at the top of the staircase. This time she wasn't in roadside distress. She wore a simple but elegant champagne-colored dress, her hair neatly styled, her presence calm yet powerful. She walked down gracefully. You came, she said softly. I thought maybe you sent the wrong address, he replied honestly. She smiled. No mistake. He looked around again. You live here? Yes. Like, alone? She laughed lightly. Yes, alone. He blinked twice. Are you married to a minister or something? She shook her head. No. Senator? No. He hesitated. Then she gestured for him to sit. He perched carefully on the edge of the sofa, afraid his village weight might stain wealth. Zara sat opposite him. Nantok, she began calmly, I owe you honesty. His heartbeat quickened. Okay. The company you volunteer at, he stiffened slightly. Yes, she held his gaze steadily. My family owns significant shares. His mind froze. Shares as in decision-making shares. He stared. The logistics company? Yes. He leaned back slowly. So, when you said you heard something happened, I didn't hear, she said gently. I confirmed. His mouth opened slightly. You mean you? I called the board. His brain was buffering like poor network. Why? She leaned forward. You didn't see a billionaire. You saw a woman stranded. You were already late for something important, yet you chose to help. He laughed nervously. And that cost me my job. Temporarily, she corrected softly. She picked up a folder from the table and handed it to him. His hand shook slightly as he opened it. Inside was an official letter, company letterhead. His name in bold. Position, Senior Operations Manager. He blinked repeatedly. This must be a mistake. No. The salary. It's correct. He looked up at her. Why would you do this? Her expression softened. Because leadership isn't just about degrees. It's about character. And you have that. He swallowed hard. I was just fixing a tire. No, she said quietly. You were fixing proof that integrity still exists. Silence filled the grand room. The chandelier sparkled above them like a witness. He shook his head slowly. This doesn't even feel real. She smiled. It's very real. He looked around again. So yesterday I helped a billionaire heiress, she completed calmly. He covered his face briefly. I almost charged you 2,000 naira for the service. She burst into laughter. You should have. He looked at her, finally laughing too. I even told you tires can smell fear. And you were right, she teased. Mine definitely did. They laughed together, not as billionaire and volunteer, but as two people connected by something deeper than money. Then her tone softened. Nantok, I didn't just call you here for the job. His heart skipped. You didn't? She held his gaze steadily. No. The air shifted. Outside, the fountain water flowed gently. Inside, destiny was quietly unfolding. And Nantok realized something powerful. The gate he thought had closed yesterday had only redirected him to a greater one. The silence between them was no longer awkward. It was charged. Zara stood and gestured gently. "Come, let me show you something." Nantok followed her through a wide hallway where recessed lights glowed warmly against textured cream walls. The marble floors reflected their footsteps like quiet applause. Gold-framed contemporary African art pieces lined the corridor. Bold colors, proud faces, stories of heritage told in modern strokes. "Your house looks like a five-star hotel married a museum," Nantok said honestly. She laughed. "I'll take that as a compliment." They stepped into the kitchen. It was breathtaking. Glossy white cabinets with gold handles, a large marble island at the center, pendant lights hanging elegantly above it. Smart appliances blended seamlessly into the walls. A soft scent of vanilla filled the air. Zara leaned casually against the island. "You look less nervous now." He shrugged. "I've accepted that if I faint, I'll faint on quality marble." She burst into laughter. "You're impossible." "No, I'm adjusting." She tilted her head slightly. "To what?" "To a life that changed in less than 24 hours. Her expression softened. "Does it scare you?" He paused. "Yes." She didn't look offended. "Because you think I'm too rich?" He gave a small smile. "No, because I don't want to become something I'm not." Her eyes warmed. "And what are you?" "A man who knows what it means to struggle." She walked closer. "And I'm a woman who knows what it means to be surrounded, but still alone." That hit differently. For the first time, he saw beyond the mansion, beyond the wealth. He saw the person, the honest conversation. They moved to the living room. Zara sat on the sofa, tucking one leg under her elegantly. "You know," she began softly, "when my father built this house, he said something." She glanced toward the large portrait above the fireplace. "He said wealth should protect you, not isolate you." Nantok followed her gaze. "That's your father?" She nodded. "He built Zara Holdings from scratch. Oil, real estate, logistics. He passed away 3 years ago." "I'm sorry." She smiled gently. "I learned early that money attracts many things, but rarely sincerity." He exhaled slowly. "And you think I'm sincere?" She looked directly into his eyes. "You gave up something important for someone you didn't know." He laughed lightly. "Please don't remind me." She nudged him playfully. "I restored it, didn't I?" He smiled. "Yes, and upgraded it." They both laughed. Then her tone shifted slightly. Lighter, teasing. "So tell me something." He raised an eyebrow. "What? If you had known I was a billionaire yesterday, would you still have stopped?" He pretended to think deeply. She narrowed her eyes. "Be honest." He grinned. "I would have fixed the tire faster." She gasped dramatically. "So you admit it?" He laughed. "No, I'm joking. I would have stopped either way." She studied him. There was a softness in her voice now. "Stay for dinner," she said suddenly. He hesitated. "You sure? I don't want to stain anything expensive." "You already survived the sofa. You'll be fine." She insisted on cooking. He offered to help. "Please," she said confidently, tying an apron around her waist. "I'm not helpless." 30 minutes later, smoke began to rise slightly from the pot. Nantok sniffed cautiously. "Zara." "Yes?" "Is the rice supposed to smell determined?" She turned sharply. "Excuse me?" He coughed dramatically. "I'm just asking for clarity." She tasted it and made a face. "Okay, maybe slightly overambitious." He laughed. "Madam Billionaire, this jollof has fought battles." She hit his arm lightly. "Don't insult my cooking." He raised his hands in surrender. "I'm only providing constructive criticism." They ended up ordering suya instead, sitting side by side at the island counter, laughing over paper wraps of spicy meat. The mansion no longer felt intimidating. It felt warm, alive. Later that evening, they stepped onto the balcony. The Abuja skyline shimmered in the distance. City lights flickered like stars fallen to earth. A soft breeze brushed past them. Zara leaned against the railing. "Yesterday," she said quietly, "when you walked away after fixing my tire, I felt something strange." He glanced at her. "What?" "Relief." He frowned slightly. "Relief?" Yes, because for once someone didn't look at me and see money. He was quiet. She continued softly. You saw a woman stranded. He swallowed. And today, she looked at him, not as a billionaire, not as a CEO, but as a woman choosing vulnerability. Today I see a man I want to know beyond gratitude. His heart skipped. You mean? She nodded gently. Yes. There it was. Not rushed, not dramatic, but real. He stepped closer. Zara, I don't have yachts. She smiled. I get seasick. I don't own oil blocks. I own enough. He laughed softly. But I have something. She raised an eyebrow. What? A heart that won't leave you stranded. Her breath slowed. That's exactly what I've been looking for. The city lights shimmered behind them as silence wrapped around the moment. Not the heavy kind, the hopeful kind. And somewhere between marble floors and burnt jollof rice, something far more valuable than wealth had begun to grow. Love. Simple, sincere, and unexpected. The promotion letter felt heavy in Nantok's hands, not because of the paper, but because of what it represented. 5 years of waiting. 5 years of swallowing pride. 5 years of almost. And now he was standing inside a mansion in Maitama, holding a future that looked nothing like the one he had imagined. Zara watched him quietly. You're thinking too loudly, she said. He blinked. Is it that obvious? You keep staring at the letter like it might disappear. He exhaled slowly and sat down. I just don't want to wake up. She moved closer, sitting beside him. You're not dreaming, Nantok. He turned to her. Why me? She didn't hesitate. Because you didn't measure your kindness. That answer settled something inside him. The first day back. Monday came quickly. This time, Nantok didn't rush in fear. He walked into the office with calm confidence. The same security guard who once barely noticed him now stood straighter. Good morning, sir. Sir. It still sounded unfamiliar. Inside, whispers followed him like background music. Is that Nantok, the volunteer? How did he? His former boss approached, forcing a tight smile. Ah, Mr. Nantok, congratulations. Nantok smiled politely. Thank you, sir. The man cleared his throat. Well, we're happy to have you in this new capacity. Nantok nodded respectfully. No bitterness, no revenge, just quiet growth. By noon, an internal memo confirmed his new role as Senior Operations Manager. Meetings that once excluded him now required his approval. During a brief break, his phone buzzed. Zara, how's my favorite tire expert? He smiled. Nantok, currently pretending I understand PowerPoint slides. She replied instantly. Zara, confidence looks good on you. He stared at that message longer than necessary. Learning the woman behind the wealth. That evening, he visited Zara again, not as a struggling volunteer, but as a man stepping into his purpose. She greeted him casually in soft loungewear, her hair loosely tied. Welcome back, Mr. Manager. He bowed playfully. Thank you, Madam Shareholder. They both laughed. But tonight, the mood shifted deeper. They sat in the living room under the soft glow of the chandelier. Nantok, she said gently, I don't want you to feel like I rescued you. He looked at her carefully. You didn't rescue me. She waited. You revealed what was already possible. Her eyes softened. You still earned it. I only opened the door. He smiled. And I promise I won't embarrass you. She smirked. Oh, please. I like a little embarrassment. Keeps life interesting. He laughed. Then he asked the question that had been sitting quietly in his heart. Zara, why were you really driving alone that day? She leaned back slightly. Because sometimes I want to feel normal. Normal? Yes. No drivers, no board meetings, no people calculating my net worth before saying hello. He nodded slowly. And did you feel normal? She looked at him. For 10 minutes on that roadside. Yes. The proposal no one expected. Weeks passed. Their bond deepened naturally, not rushed, not flashy. One evening, after a long day, Zara invited him over. I made jollof, she announced proudly. He froze. Should I call the fire service? She narrowed her eyes playfully. Sit down. To his surprise, it was perfect. He tasted it dramatically. This rice has repented. She laughed, relieved. After dinner, she led him to the balcony again, the same place where honesty first found them. The Abuja skyline shimmered below. "Nantalk," she began softly, "I've spent years protecting my heart." He turned fully toward her. "But you walked into my life without trying to impress me." He swallowed. She took his hands. "I don't want a man who needs my money." He squeezed gently. "I don't. I want a partner, equal, honest, grounded." "You have that," he said firmly. She studied his face carefully. "Then let's build something together." His breath caught slightly. "Are you asking what I think you're asking?" She smiled shyly. "Yes." He laughed softly in disbelief. "Zara, I was fixing your tire weeks ago. And now?" He looked into her eyes, not seeing wealth, not seeing status, just seeing her. "Now I see my future." He reached into his pocket slowly. She blinked. "You carry a ring around?" He grinned. "No, but I carry courage." He knelt anyway. "Zara, I don't promise perfection. I don't promise a life without flat tires." She laughed, forming tears. "But I promise to kneel beside you every time life deflates something." She covered her mouth. "And fix it together." Her voice trembled. "Yes." Epilogue. A road they built together. A year later, their wedding blended elegance with culture, modern luxury infused with rich African tradition. The mansion felt even warmer, now decorated with family portraits and laughter that echoed through marble halls. Nantalk thrived in his role, proving every day that integrity scales higher than luck. Zara didn't just gain a husband. She gained peace. And sometimes, when they drove past that same quiet roadside, she would smile and say, "That's where I met the only mechanic who fixed more than my tire." Nantalk would chuckle. "No, madam, that's where destiny missed my appointment letter and wrote a better one." And together, hand in hand, they proved something powerful. Kindness may delay you for a moment. Sometimes, life tests you in the smallest ways. A flat tire on a deserted road. A moment of choice. A simple act of kindness. For Nantalk, stopping to help a stranger didn't just change one day. It changed his life forever. This story reminds us that integrity, humility, and a willing heart can open doors we never imagined, and that love often finds us in the most unexpected places. If you loved this tale of romance, laughter, and destiny, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss the next inspiring African story that warms the heart and inspires the soul. Your next adventure could be just one click away.